there's always more to the story. Join your hosts, Dr. Eric Shaw, prosecutor Ryan Frank, writer Adrian Bonenberger, and comedian Ryan Connor as they follow up on the most recent episode of Baggage. This is Carry On.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Carry On. And if anyone didn't check it out, check out our last episode with Brandon, cancer survivor, partnership with the Dear Jack Foundation. And that was a big episode. There was a lot in it. So one of the things we didn't get to in the episode is kind of the premise of the show, baggage. How does this affect him mentally going forward? So with that setup, we asked him, and this is what he had to say.
You know, I wish I had like a succinct one sentence thing that just, you know, was this nugget of wisdom. But the truth is I'm still sort of on that journey myself to find that answer as I go along. There are some rough days. There are some days where, I know this is pretty common in the GVHD community, the people who have, you know, post-transplant complications, you have some regret maybe about, did I explore all my options because this is irreversible now, you know? You committed to something on the premise that it would save your life, and then when you're faced with these sort of irreversible complications, you do sort of walk it back and you wonder, like, what could I have done differently? You know, and then sometimes on a really bad day, you even have that sentiment of like, well, is this better than dying? A lot of survivors, I think, have those moments. But for me, in the wake of everything after that part of my life, I realized that there is so much that there is to experience in the world that any one person will ever be able to actually fully take in. I mean, everything. Some people get very lucky because of the way their life shapes out and the resources they have, that they can take off a big chunk of what it means to just be a human being on this planet. I mean, see a good part of the world, meet so many varieties of people, experience things from different parts of the world, cultures, phenomenon. There's so much. There's an impossible amount of life happening every day across the planet, and then it is constantly going on every day. And you can get really down thinking that today, what you're experiencing right now at work, with your friends, with your family, even just in your own body, in your own home, means it's not worth it. But the thing that gets me up and getting out of getting on with my day and getting out the door is that there is an impossible amount of things left to do and experience. And you start to realize, once you've defied the odds and beat death once, those barriers that we build up in our mind that prevent us from just doing all that are very small. They're inconsequential. You know, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not even very well off. I'm an artist. I'm a young artist. So there's a lot of things that, you know, I wish I could jump on a plane and go to Thailand. I've never been to that half of the planet before, but nothing is stopping me from getting in the car and driving to a state that I've never been to before. And I realized one of those barriers was me saying I didn't have the time, I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the experience. And I said, fuck it. That's that illusion that we create, that there's a reason we can't just go experience the world. And so I did. I threw a blanket and a pillow and just some clothes in a duffel bag and got in the car and drove to Colorado. I'd never been. I had no idea what I was going to do. But I just spent 3 or 4 days up in the the Great Sand Dune National Park. And like, that was it. For a moment, I really got back in touch with a me that was still in the hospital, first round of chemo, and begging, praying that I would get to do anything else other than this before I died. And it was crazy to me to realize how quickly I had to re-assimilate back into a life after cancer. A lot of us do. If, heaven forbid, you're a parent and you have dependents, or, you know, you had a job, you so quickly just get back and kind of lose yourself again into just being a person in a rut. And for a brief moment, I really kind of reconnected with that me 3 years ago that said, what I would give to do anything else other than this. And that's really been my driving force, is that there's so much left to do. And I'm now reinvigorated with what can I wake up tomorrow and do that I've never done before. There's so many opportunities for everyone to go out and find those. And it's so unfortunate because it can feel so small and distant when you're so far in the rut, when you're so down in that hole and down on yourself. And you're like, this problem I have eclipses what other joy there is to be. And that's where it's like, if I had to say something, it's like, just take the risk. Just trust in the minute possibility that instead of sitting in bed tomorrow or not existing at all, that if you got up and took a left instead of a right on your way to work, if you stopped at this store to get breakfast instead of going to the drive-thru, any little thing that you do to deviate and have a new, fresh experience, all of those will briefly give you that little flash of like, this is what life's about. Life is worth living to have new experiences.
One thing that Brandon discussed with me offline too, after having the bone marrow transplant, was that he's now suffering from something called graft versus host disease. And this is something that most people have never heard of because it's just not that common. Bone marrow transplants aren't that common. And so what it is you've now got this new immune system that's mostly like yours, but not entirely like yours. And it starts to then sometimes look at you as a problem. And so your new immune system will start to attack various like parts of your body, and it can present as like skin problems or joint aches or multiple like organ dysfunction things. He has a lot of skin issues that he deals with this, but it's something that's very frustrating. There are medications that can help it, but it is still something that like it is a known side effect of having had a bone marrow transplant.
It sounds like a mix of like all the autoimmune diseases that you hear of.
Oh, very much so. It's doing a bone marrow transplant alone is one of those like human ideas that like, who came up with that idea?
I know.
And you knew there was going to be some consequences down the road. Like but it's wild that we can do that. It's
you think
truly
the first one
those...
went well?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got an idea. Okay, so you know how Fred's sick. What if we take the inside of someone's bones and put it in Fred? I mean, it sounds crazy.
That's basically what they're doing.
Yeah. Do they scrape? Like, what do you do with the old bone marrow? That's what the chemo is. It's killing the hell out of it.
They just scorch it. It's all gone. You just irradiate so the reason radiation affects the parts of the body that it does, it affects cells that are replicating really quickly, and your blood cells, which are all generated inside your bone marrow, turn over pretty quickly. So they're really sensitive to radiation, and so you just kill them all. You kill them all, and then you find a donor, and that's where you hear about people getting like the little biopsy from their hip, and they'll take out a good amount of them. They just kind of inject it in, and at some point they'll just kind of take over, and your body will start to produce these new foreign blood cells as your own.
Wouldn't you? Back to your point though about how innovative that is. If you didn't know about it, if you didn't take biology classes and stuff, about bone marrow, and you just came across a bone, right, and then you broke the bone in half, wouldn't you be a little shocked that there's Jell-O inside?
Probably.
I would not expect Jell-O. I would expect air or solid.
As a hunter and general meat connoisseur, bone marrow is absolutely delicious. If you've never had that before, by the way,
there's a
restaurant call it like bone butter. You split usually like for like elk or beef, you like split the femur, and then you just roast it, or you can even do it on the grill, and you put all sorts of like herbs and salt on it, and it comes out just like butter, and you can actually like smear it on toast and stuff, and it's delicious.
Dude, one of my favorite dishes in LA, it's at this place in Soto. It's bone marrow with white miso and probably mirin, and I would guess a little bit of sugar, and it's bruleed on top of the marrow with crispy rice.
Ryan is looking kind of put out by this conversation.
Oh, I've tuned out.
I'm also really glad Brandon is not here to hear us talking about eating bone marrow. That seems
Well, it's funny because I'm waiting for an avenue. You keep talking about eating marrow, and I'm like, there's really not an opening for me to plug the National Marrow Donor Program because you're just talking about eating it. So it seems like poor timing.
so. This reminds me. When
I think this has to be the episode then.
This is if you're interested in marrow.
We went a little off track.
I did this. We did this interview at Eastern Virginia Medical School, and it's this 3-person panel. It's super intimidating, and they asked me this question. They're like, "Okay, so the town bishop has cirrhosis of the liver, and the mayor has hepatitis C, and you only have one liver. What would you do with it?" And the technical answer is you could actually give it to both. You can cut them up into 3 pieces and actually split it amongst 3 patients. I didn't answer that. In fact, the first thing that popped in my mind though was I would eat it with some fava beans. I was like, no, don't say that. Don't say that.
Did you say it or you just thought it?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't say to eat it. I gave this big like theoretical thing, and then I said, but you could actually give it to both of them. And they were like, yeah, that was really the right answer. I was like, yep. Yeah. So one thing when I listened to the original episode, I realized that Brandon made an aside to something that we talked about offline that I wanted to share because it's a pretty funny story. My grandparents, when they first got together, this was right after World War II. My grandfather got a brain tumor, and no one, back then, this was the late 40s, early 50s. No one really thought he was going to survive. And so the big joke was he asked my grandmother to marry him in the hospital. And she said, well, yeah, of course, because she didn't think he was going to make it. And then joke was on her. He outlived everybody.
Oh, wow. Wow. They in the 40s.
Yep. He ended up with like a shunt. I mean, they took it out. They resected it. He had a shunt. Just he had some structural issues, but he lived a very full and normal life afterwards.
I mean, I wouldn't say that because he outlived the radiologists of that era.
Probably. Probably.
Yeah. Do you know, Eric, the answer to this? To find a match, a bone marrow donor match, it's got to be pretty rare because I'm not joking. I did break up the National Marrow Donor Program. I joined that almost 20 years ago. It's super simple. You give like a buccal swab or whatever, and you're in their database to see if you're a match for anybody. So anybody in the world that's on that database, they can match you. I've never been called up. I've never matched with anybody or anything like that. Is it really, really rare to find a match, or do most people find a match?
No, a lot of it has to do with your ethnicity. And so kind of like wherever your people came from. And so like the more, localized it is, the more you're going to probably find someone that's going to be close to your match there. So if you're like a minority, you're probably going to have a harder time finding the match there. But if you're just like generic, European mutt in America, you're probably a better chance of finding a match than say, someone from like Southeast Asia or something.
Well, it's a good program. I encourage anybody to sign up. It's free. They send you a little sample. It's super easy. And then, have the chance to help somebody.
Right. It's medical donation. It's not for
eating.
Right. Yeah. You're not giving them money. I guess they'll probably take money.
Oh, no.
This is like you don't.
No, we were joking.
You're back to the eating the marrow. Gotcha. Hey, everybody. Ryan here. I wanted to take a minute to introduce our listeners to one of the charities we collaborate with, the Dear Jack Foundation. And here to tell us about Dear Jack is their Senior Director of Operations, Susan Wendishen. Hey, Susan. So can you tell the listeners a little bit about what Dear Jack is?
Absolutely. So the Dear Jack Foundation is a nonprofit. We work with program participants all over the country, and we specifically support young adult cancer patients and survivors. Young adult, in our definition, is defined as between the ages of 18 and 39. And we have programs that support them from diagnosis all the way through to survivorship.
Excellent. Now, if somebody is interested in supporting Dear Jack, where can they go?
So our website is just www.dearjackfoundation.org. So you can always go there and check it out. But we have a great Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn that we're just Dear Jack Foundation. You can find us there. There are plenty of ways to get involved, but as a small organization, we always need extra dollars. So any support that anybody can give is always helpful and appreciated.
Gotcha.
No one's eating it.
The next thing we talked about with Brandon was actually what Dear Jack put on for him for his wish. And he is the one and only Dear Jack recipient that got 2 wishes. And so I'll let Brandon take it from there.
I've been pursuing music professionally, for a good half of my life. And so I've had a band for a long time that's just been like truly a fun side project. I mean, not so much like a jam band or a cover band, but like it's me and my bassist is a professional cellist. And my singer is somebody I've known for a long period of time. My drummer's in finance, but I mean, like we all have careers and we just get together and we make music. And they've been so fantastic to me because this has always been my outlet to write rock music and pop music for us, just to play in the local dive bars around town while I'm like then going and trying to like finish a score for 100-piece orchestra the next day that I'm recording in Hungary or whatever. Like it's really spiritually fulfilling to like go play for like 7 people at a dive bar, some punk rock songs that we wrote. And that group of friends that's been in my band for years now, I mean, truly, that's kind of one of those things that like that they have been giving me that outlet and giving me that joy away from what I do professionally. And I was really remiss that I know they do it because they love music. And when this all kind of kicked off, I told Susan that I was so sad that if this all kind of played out for the worst, that I wasn't ever going to get to give them that opportunity to perform at the level that they're all deserving of. Like, yeah, we play dive bars and stuff around town because that's who would take like our no-name band. But these are all professional musicians who are so dedicated to that art and are sacrificing all the opportunities they could have been pursuing, almost like just for me, just because we like each other and because they want to learn my songs and play my songs for me so I can do that. And I just really broke my heart thinking about how much they'd been sacrificing for me to have that experience, that I got that opportunity where she said, what would be something that would be really fulfilling for you to do to help kind of give you that invigoration to get through this hard part of your life. And I told her, I just really wish I could get a chance to let my band play for some people. I want other people to see these incredibly talented musicians perform and be celebrated for the caliber of their musicianship, because they deserve that. I feel like I haven't been able to give them that, and I would really love for them to experience that. And she was so amazing. The first thing she did was just like, well, I know you're a big fan of Andrew McMahon, the founder of the organization and very extremely successful musician, inspiration for me, really. I've been a fan of like Jack's Mannequin and the various iterations throughout his career, just as a fan. And she was like, well, he's going to be in Dallas and we'd love if you want to get a chance to meet him. And of course I was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. And he was so great. I obviously went in with this like, don't be a fan, don't be like that fan that's freaking out and everything. And he was so disarming right off the bat. He would just immediately, it was like, how are you feeling? And you forget that like all the Dear Jack and a lot of his endeavors after that have started because he went through the same ordeal. He also got diagnosed with the same leukemia. And the question, like just right off the bat, you were talking to like another survivor. I wasn't even a musician, like an aspiring musician talking to a seasoned musician. I was talking like from a person with cancer to a survivor. And that was one of the most impactful conversations I'd had up until that point, and probably to this day. And he was so cool because he was like, I hear you make music. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, we do a gala fundraiser around the country every year to kind of brew up support for financial backers for the nonprofit. And we usually have some music openers to kind of like pre-open the show before he gets out there and plays some solo piano and sings through his catalog. And he's like, would you guys like to come play for us? And that was effectively them giving me that opportunity, because it was Talia Hall in Chicago, several 100-seat venue, all coming to see Andrew McMahon. And then we got to play like probably about a half-hour opener, and it was amazing. It was exceptional, and there I am. Yeah, I mean, there I am, 2 or 3 weeks after transplant. I'm still bald. Like my hair hasn't grown back. If you look at the pictures from that night, it's like my lead singer in a dress, looks beautiful. My cellist buttoned up with his cello, and then there's me, and I'm trying to pull off this like Jason Mraz look with like a fedora over my bald head, trying to not look like I just had almost fatal cancer. But I mean, I was in the hospital getting my bone marrow transplant and preparing for this set. And that's like the point of what Dear Jack does, was that when I could have been sitting there freaking out and panicking about what if this goes wrong, all I could focus on in the moment was this like life-changing opportunity, life-changing experience that was waiting for me that I had to prepare for. And that's the point. It gives you, distraction isn't even the right word. It gives you hope. It gives you optimism when you're in that like darkest night of this experience for people diagnosed with cancer. And that's what's so incredible about the organization. So I it felt gluttonous for them to come back and say that because you kind of willed this for your friends and perform and helped us fill this bill tonight to perform for our donors, that we want to give you another one, because that alone was what got me through those really tough few weeks. Was that it's like I gotta live, and then I gotta get better because I got a show to play in Chicago with Andrew McMahon. I mean, yeah, that's like the epitome of why they do it. But yeah, I was floored that night they came out and said, "Thank you, this is really incredible. Thank you, Brandon, and we want to give you a second opportunity, but this time it has to be for you. It can't be something that you're passively engaging in to benefit other people. You need to actually look at yourself and say, what do you want?" That alone was a whole rabbit hole of introspection of like, wow, how much have I been prioritizing the well-being of others through this experience? How much have I actually stopped and looked and selfishly asked, what do I want? What would make me happy exclusively?
That's just a really cool program too. I mean, with little kids, it would be Make-A-Wish, but you're an adult, so you don't get that same option. It's kind of cool. They can do something like that. And a reminder for the Letters with Love too. That's a super cool thing where you want to contribute, want to be more involved.
And to add on to that, I wanted to plug Dear Jack is having an event at Red Rocks on July 23rd before Andrew McMahon's concert. It's going to be a picnic event there. If you go to their website, there's links to it, and there's tickets available still. I will be there. I will be plugging our show there. So if you want to come meet me and meet Susan, we will both be there. So come check it out.
We're going to have merch. There'll be merch there.
We got a flyer. We got magnets.
This is a slight tangent. I think it's relevant to people. If you have a sweat stain on a hat, wash it immediately. Don't wait. Don't think I'm going to let a lot of sweat accumulate, then wash it, because you'll end up, you can't get it all out. See?
No, all my hats look like that.
That's good for the audio podcast we're on. Yeah, that's a sweat stain hat you just showed us.
It's staring me in the eye, taunting me like I could still be pristine if you cared enough. So if you're gonna run in a hat, wear a black hat.
Great public service announcement from Ryan Connor. Well, yes, donate to Dear Jack. Help some people with their cancer, dealing with that, and also sweat stains. Thank you, Ryan. And also membership. We're terrible at plugging our own show. I encourage people to first and foremost donate to Dear Jack. But second, if you want to donate to charity, including Dear Jack, and also have the benefits from an ad-free membership to this podcast, go to thebaggagepodcast.com/support, or an Apple Podcast. Just click on to be a member, and you can, for a very inexpensive amount, you can contribute directly to the charity. for the next several months, every new membership, all of that money is going to Dear Jack. That's all I have. Ryan, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot,
That's fine.
talking about a very, very timely episode. You just got some recent news.
Well, you can't call it timely because it does not. It's not leukemia. Okay, this is the problem. This is the problem I'm going to run across my whole life. If I'm in a room where if they say, "Has anyone here had cancer?" Technically, yes, but it's the softest version there is. It's so it's like I'd raise my hand. They say, "What kind?" They go, "Dude, put your hand down." I'm like, you asked the question, not me.
Okay. What kind?
It's basal cell carcinoma.
Oh,
That's
basal
not
cell.
cancer.
That's
what they said.
We're
Or then
cutting that.
then it's not
We're
basal
cutting
cell
that from the
carcinoma.
episode.
Whatever it is, they said it.
No.
They said it's
I'm
cancer.
agreeing with you.
Ki-
No, that's
kind of.
cancer.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That's cancer.
Yeah, but it's
That's
minor.
Okay.
Yeah,
Honestly, dude, I feel much better.
Yeah.
Basal cells.
that's what I told you.
Yeah.
I told you. It's no
you're
big
gonna
deal.
get
get. Yeah.
You get a
They're-
Mohs
okay,
procedure
okay.
and you're fine.
Yeah, they're just cutting my. They're just they got to cut the skin off my nose. But
Okay.
yeah.
All
So
right.
so I'm not worried about it at all. Except that I'm gonna have to fucking cover my nose for a while. But no,
Yeah,
but
okay.
no. The thing that I think is important for people to know is like if you got a thing that keeps coming back on your face or wherever, get it checked out. Don't do like I did and spend 3 years thinking I'm doing something wrong.
Okay. So
That's what
not
I did.
to minimize, absolutely. That's a great point. If you see something, do something
Yeah.
about it, be your own advocate. I really was just shit talking basal cell right there, and I'm sorry. It is something you want to take care of. But I happen to know from, obviously Eric knows because he's a doctor, but I happen to know from family members, it's like if you
It's the best case scenario.
It's the best case scenario. Like it's completely treatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad's
so
had
early-
like 8 of those things cut off his face.
Who did?
My dad.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's superficial unless you don't treat it forever. Is that correct, Eric?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So here's the fun part there. They were like, we'll just cut it out. We start with a small thing. It's called a Mohr surgery.
Mohs
M-O-H-R.
procedure.
Is that right?
Mohs.
Mohs. Yeah. She's like, it's a small part, and then we get a little bigger, then a little bigger, then a little bigger, then a little bigger. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is nothing. And then I looked up photos of what this shit looks like. Oh my God. Guys, don't Google it.
My mom had it done, and I remember it being like, "Oh crap, Mom, I'm really sorry you're going through that because it's pretty pronounced, but it heals so quick. I mean, you could never tell.
No,
It's a really quick process.
I'm just
so
like-
I think, and she was in her 70s when she got it done, so I
Wow.
think you're gonna heal pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed.
That does suck. Again, I don't want to downplay it, but want to again remind everybody: donate to Dear Jack, donate to the podcast. None of it will go to Ryan. He doesn't see a dime.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next time.
What about my
Thanks.
copay?
Music for Baggage provided by Quincy Ledbetter. You can find his stuff at qledbetter.com. Graphics provided by Megan Weaver. You can find her at meganweaverart.com. Special thanks to our premium members for their support. You can become a premium member by clicking subscribe in your Apple Podcast app or by visiting thebaggagepodcast.com/support to sign up or to gift a membership to someone. A percentage of all proceeds go to charity. If you have any questions, comments, or a good story to share, please email us at thebaggagepodcast@gmail.com.